What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So, we got the dual ZOREN Prime a few days ago, and we got a review video with 3 different powerful builds. I'm not going to act like this is my new favorite weapon, but it is quite strong and has the special effect of bringing back Coptering once per jump. So we'll be reviewing all that stuff and showing how you can use this thing in relatively high-level missions. I did not go level 10,000 with this thing because they are relatively generic, but I'm sure they could do it if you did go through with one of these builds. Before we go over this stuff, though, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, news videos, discussion videos, all that kind of stuff. You're in the right place for Warframe content. And we'll have tons of new videos coming out on other items involving this Prime access in the future, too. Alright, so first things first, the dual ZOREN Prime. What's the situation with these? They are some dual swords that are primed. And as far as, unique aspects to them, they have this little special attack where you do a slide attack while airborne. They will fling you across the room pretty much. It does not really do any special damage or anything like that. And it also works once per jump, so you have to land after you do it. But yeah, they do have that special attack that no other weapon really has. So let's go ahead and showing how that works in the sim right now. I'm on Necros, and I don't really have any attack speed mods on at all. I'm going to show you how it works with, like, Volt's movement speed buff, too. But yeah, you just jump in the air, slide attack, and that's how you go. So now watch what happens when I slide attack twice. I slide attack, get the momentum. I slide attack again. It does not give me double momentum. It is once per jump, or rather, once per launch into the air. Even if you double jump, so let's see that. I jump, double jump. You cannot double slide attack with a double jump, unfortunately. It is really just, very restrictive. That being said, the movement speed it provides you is kind of nice. For a little bit of nostalgia, if you played the game a long, long time ago when I was a noob, when Coptering was in the game. That being said, what are the stats we're dealing with here on this special weapon? We've got extremely high crit chance of 30%, a pretty good multiplier, I think it's like a 3.2 multiplier without Tenacious Bond. We got 22% status chance, and pretty much entirely slash focus. 126 of the 140 damage is slash damage. Additionally, we got 2.3 meters of range and 1.25 attack speed. Now, let's compare it to some other dual swords in Warframe, but I'm gonna not compare it to the Incarnon dual sword because that's not fair. Okay, we're gonna go for the dual prime. Oh, they didn't let me do that. Okay, let's do dual commas. So they are, I'd say they're better than the dual commas prime. We got 10% more crit chance on the ZOREN, more attack speed, less range to be fair, and status chance and base damage. But yeah, 10% more crit chance is a pretty big deal in my opinion, because that scales off your mods too. Now, one weapon it's definitely not better than is going to be the dual Corrosive Prime. We'll show that in a second. Let's first compare it to the Nami Skyla Prime, another good dual sword. They got worse attack speed, they got worse crit, they got better crit, they got worse status though, and damage. So they are not far away better than everything else in the game. They are actually probably below the dual Corrosive Prime. I think right now I'm going to call the dual Corrosive Prime the best Prime non-Incarnon dual swords. If we look at these stat comparisons between this vaulted dual sword and this brand new dual sword, the dual Corrosive Prime has a lot of things better. It actually even has better crit, which you would think would be better since it has better crit than everything else, the dual ZOREN. But yeah, this thing is going to be better. Now, the only thing it's missing is the special attack, so additionally, this thing has more range too. So you can kind of notice that these things are really small looking, like compared to the dual Corrosive. So if you're looking for a really, really high-powered dual sword, I would say maybe don't fully invest in the dual ZOREN, invest in the dual Corrosive, or if you want a really top-tier one, go for the dual Ichor, which are Incarnons, require Steel Path. Now that we've established these stats are pretty good, but not top-tier, let's see what the 3 types of builds we got today. And also, I'm going to keep in mind, too, or show you as well, I am not running any arcanes right now for attack speed. These things kind of need attack speed, so if you don't want to go for maximum damage, just put a speed mod in the slot of the Bane mod. I know it's a big loss of damage, but these things have pretty bad attack speed at 1.25 at base. But that being said, I'm going to show you with Arcane Strike now that we've established that. So, yeah, special attack, airborne melee attacks will boost movement speed. Landing cancels the effect. They also should put on there, too, can only do it once per jump, or once per launch into the air, basically. But as far as our build here, we've got a melee influence build. Now, this is not a very good melee influence weapon. Why is it not a good melee influence weapon? It comes down to one of the strengths of the weapon becoming a weakness when we use this type of build. So melee influence on electric proc will spread the procs to 20 meter and enemies in 20 meters. So it only spreads elemental proc. So if we have a very, very high amount of slash damage like this weapon innately has, we cannot proc electric as easily. So I need to actually put on 2 electric mods on my build to make the electric procs relatively frequent. So looking at it right here, we have a 21.1% chance to proc electric and a 12.7% chance to proc slash. If I take off any of these electric mods, it goes down the toilet. We have 10.4 electric, 10.4 slash now. So we are just as likely to proc electric as we are to proc slash. And for this build, slash is pretty useless. Actually, a minus slash would be pretty good for this build. That being said, this one works pretty well. It's not, again, it's not the best melee influence weapon in the game because of all that slash, but it could definitely get the job done. Let's go ahead and throw in some enemies here and keep on. There is no attack speed mod on this build. I'm going to throw on Arcane Strike, the Arcane, after this. Now let's do it with no Nourish. Keep in mind that no Nourish and melee influence is kind of rough, so they're taking like 13k electric proc. You throw on Nourish for some viral procs too. Now they're getting viral procced. Now you might also notice that when we do this combo right here, that final slice is, you know, it locks you in place. That final slice of the standing combo will do knockdowns, and that'll be enabled for part of our other builds. Now that was pretty good. It's just had pretty bad attack speed, so this is where you can put Arcane Fury and Arcane Strike. Looks like I actually had Arcane Fury, I didn't even notice. Either way, these things kind of need the help, so I'm going to go Arcane Strike and Arcane Fury, and yeah. It ain't no Incarnate, let's just put it like that. I'm going to put on Nourish too. Now here's with all the melee buffs. So as you see what those electric procs look like. 47k electric proc when it was like 13k before. 400k. So like, you can definitely use them for melee influence, but you really should only use this weapon with a special slide attack. So that's a build. Now let's go on to the builds I think are actually better than melee influence. You have to put melee influence in a melee build. But yeah, for non-melee influence, if you want to actually use this thing for a more unique build, we've got a slash proc build here. Now, you can actually switch between melee afflictions or melee duplicate. Melee duplicate will only work on yellow crits, but it will make them guaranteed double hits, and melee afflictions will work on knockdowns of enemies. It will give them 6 additional slash procs, or whatever other proc you got on them. So, with this build, we knock an enemy over with the standing combo I was just telling you about, which is going to be called the Binding Claws. So he has a knockdown on there, and that will be giving them more procs. Now, this is not going to work on Eximus very well. It's not going to work on a lot of things very well. But if you just want a bunch of slash procs from a dual sword that's farmable right now, this could totally work. So what we got to do right here, just do the standing combo and knock her over. As you can see, she has 7 Vira procs and 7 slash procs. That's what this build is meant to do. Now, you could use duplicate to get like 70 plus slash procs, but they will be not as strong in my opinion because you have to you basically are not allowed to go for orange crits. Now, this build is going to be mostly yellow crits, so it can totally work with duplicate. Let's go ahead and show how that works. But yeah, you know, if you really need slash procs that badly, I'd say just go for a heavy attack slash proc on a different weapon. But you know, if you want light attack slash procs, this could totally work too. Alright, and yeah, again, I am using multiple arcanes to make this stronger than it normally is because it kind of needs the help in my opinion. So we do the same thing with duplicate. As you can see, they're getting so many procs, and we can't even see how many that is. And they're still dying, 44 slash procs, but, you know, are they actually stronger? Are they actually weaker? Up to you to decide. It looks really nice there, though, with a ton of slash proc just from some light attacks. You know, 218k. Yeah, this is with no Riven, because Rivens to this thing are Bob of the barrel stat-wise. So yeah, an actual use for duplicate. These things have enough crit chance with Sacrificial Steel and 1 Glider mod to be like, I think it's like 102% crit chance or something. So we technically can orange crit, but it's mostly yellow crits. So it's basically double melee with this kind of build. And I think it's pretty fun. Now, as far as how you could min-max this further, I do have arcanes on my frame right to make them a little bit stronger, but you could maybe put on a, maybe you could put on like Blood Rush for a little bit more and then go back with Affliction. So that's the second build there, the slash proc focus build. Let's go for the final build here, the one that's, I think this is more for like normal players. We got a Corrosive build here. Now, the idea of this one is that, well, first off, Elementalist is probably not needed, but there's not really that many D players in this mod to put there, or in this game to put there. So the idea of this one is to put Corrosive procs into me, then knock them over with this, just to have like a good generic experience. Blood Rush to get over yellow crits, so we don't want to use duplicate on this build. Now, it might look a little bit weird. You could use Exposure too. You could even go for like a different kind of build, like a Blast build or something, and then put Exposure on there for Corrosive. But this is supposed to be a nice debuffer type of build. And yeah, I would prefer not to have Elementalist on here, but there's just really not that many D polarity mods in this game. So you got 10 Corrosive procs, 10 Vira procs, and 10 Slash procs. They're so dead at that point. Only 2 viral procs that time. So if we knock them over, they get more of the procs they already had, which makes it really good for corrosive and for viral. So yeah, it actually slays out pretty well with a build like this. You know, again, pretty much any weapon in the game could do a build like this. And a lot of the damage is coming from DOTs too. So I guess Elementalist is not that bad, but yeah, I don't know. To me, this is not a weapon I'm ever going to use, besides if I want to have some fun with a slide attack. Let's go ahead and show some of the fun aspects of the slide attack with Volt. Now, movement speed multipliers are going to affect that, the slide attack, and as well, Dispatch Override should also affect it if we do have that procced. So that should be a heavy attack. Yep, 60% movement speed on heavy attack hit, and then also a Volt speed with however much strength I have is going to be a 3.8 times speed multiplier. So we're going to be hopefully noticing it pretty well here. Okay, so we summon some enemies. Slam attack for Dispatch Override. As you can see, the slide attack, you still have to, like, you know, still have some momentum to maintain, but the movement speed multiplier does make it quite noticeable. There are times where the momentum does not feel that extreme. There's times where it does. So you have to, it will take some getting used to for sure. But yeah, the first jumping slide attack should have that burst of speed, whereas every slide attack afterwards should not have that burst of speed, from my testing at least. If you can find a way to multiple burst of speed it, that would be awesome. But I don't think that's how it's designed, so yeah. Let's go over some overall thoughts on the dual Zoren at the end here. So, the thing about the dual Zoren Prime is that it is so much better than the dual Zoren normal. I'm not going to even show you the dual Zoren normal stats because they're that bad. We're talking like 5% status chance. Extremely low stats. So, yeah, as far as the upgrade to the dual Zoren, this does a good job at it. It also adds a little fun coptering passive thing there too. But at the end of the day, this is a weapon for people that bought Lavos Prime Access. This is not a weapon for people that want to have the best stuff in the game. This is literally, in my opinion, worse than the dual carries. The dual carries at least has good ribbons too. The dual carry is just better in general, besides the special attack. So yeah, if you like the special attack, if you don't want to use the Praetos for movement speed, you don't want to use the Okina for movement speed, whatever Incarnate we're using nowadays, if you want a little fun burst of speed thing, this exists. It does exist, but again, I personally feel like for people that bought the Prime Access, that this is the best they got. When they get the dual Ichor, they're going to use the dual Ichor on Lavos Prime over these. So, yeah. Now, that being said, if they ever get an Incarnon for this thing, that might become one of the new most fun weapons of the whole game. Because remember, we don't have the parkour velocity from the Praetos. We don't have the movement speed from the Okina or the Anku. All we have is Dispatch Override and the special slide attack. So, if that's worth it to you to sacrifice a weapon that is always be providing these benefits, does not require a jumping slide attack, then, you know, be my guest. But at the end of the day, we have so many good options. I just showed you like 5 of them right there. I don't see myself using this thing past this video. So you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments down below. I like it. It's just we have too many good options for me to actually utilize this. So yeah. See you guys next time. Take it easy. Peace.